Hope y'all can hear me well. Appreciate y'all for being in here. But I just want to come up here and check on y'all. Check on y'all. Really didn't feel like doing a music reaction video today. Sometimes I get in a sort of burnout stage on doing certain things on my channel. And so I just want to do a live just talking to you guys tonight. Uh, Sometimes you gotta take a break from different things that you do in order to get kind of refreshed with certain things that you do. You don't want to get burned out so much doing the same thing, the same routines over and over again. Sometimes, when it comes to YouTube, kind of want to switch it up sometimes and see what works, what sticks. How I can uh, sometimes I just sit back and brainstorm, how I can be more effective, with this channel, YouTube, music tips and reviews with JG. Sometimes you get burned out doing the same thing, each week, trying to build, your channel. And a lot of people that do YouTube, uh, you really know how that is as far as, building an audience, building a audience. It can be tough sometimes. And so just really thinking about, next moves as far as music is concerned. And I know a lot of you songwriters, producers out there, you get kind of in a place where you feel like you're not creative. You feel like, uh, you got to take a little sit. You got to sit back a little while. Put the keyboard down. Put your DAW, whatever DAW you have, kind of take a break and sit back because you feel sometimes your creative juices is not there. And a lot of people always talk like, they always have creativity in their mind. They always say, talk like they have creativity. But sometimes you get kind of, I would say burned out, but you get in a place where you can't really think of nothing. And that's the time where, you just got to sit back and, live life. Maybe an idea may spark up, later on. But I never been the type to really try to force creativity. I'm kind of at a moment right now where I'm just kind of, getting ideas together, not trying to rush into projects, not trying to rush into songs. Uh, and sometimes you got to switch, the way you process music, the way you create music. Sometimes you have to take a pause and sit back and uh, figure out a new way to create music. That happens. That's happening right now. I'm kind of sitting back now. Uh, I worked on music last night, but sometimes you gotta sit back and find more creative ways to create music. You don't want to create music the same way all the time because sometimes you end up with the same results. Sometimes if you feel like no, this way is not, popping, you gotta, uh, you gotta think of another way to really navigate, as far as music is concerned. Again, appreciate y'all for being in here. And if you got any songwriting questions as well, again, you got things that you know, you think about, things that you want to get better as far as music is concerned. Feel free to ask questions, or you got some advice you want to tell fellow musicians or producers or songwriters. Feel free to speak your mind. I'm not the type of person that I'm just giving advice. I want some input. On what you think as far as uh, music creation. Like I said, I think of new ways, thinking of new ways to create music. I'm in a phase where I'm creating music differently, than I used to. You know, most of the times I used to start with, the drums, and then I go into the melody and stuff like that. And then lately now I just write and then I add the music around, what I'm doing. And I feel now that process is a little faster for me right now, so I can really get ideas out. I think I've over the years I've gotten way more into songwriting, and so I'll be thinking about so many song ideas before I think of music ideas, and so and of course you live life and you see more situations, you see more things happening as you get older. You experience more things. Not saying young people, if you're a younger artist, you don't experience things, but definitely, of course, you live longer, you see more things, and you can write them out about more experiences, that you have, as far as life is concerned. And if you're a musician, artist, producer, you kind of tap into those things as far as song ideas, and a lot of people, they don't realize that, music reflects life. And I think a lot of music is reflecting life. Um, I think people are so much into uh, microwavable music these days. They just want quick music, quick hits. They don't take the time to just really. They don't take the time to really create like they should. And if you got any input, I don't want to talk the whole time. But if you have any input about the topic that you see, switching up your process, switching up the way you produce. Sometimes you gotta switch up. Maybe you've never been a sample producer. Maybe you want to tap into sampling. Maybe you want to get into a different genre. Music. Uh, lately I've been getting into like country music, creating country music. Uh, I've seen that very fascinating to me now, as far as music is concerned. Tapping into different, genres and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's just a lot of things you learn as far as music is concerned. You get kind of tired of doing things the same way all the time, and you kind of want to switch it up. And so I'm kind of in that phase now where I really want to switch things up as far as music creation. There's so many different there's so many different platforms now, so many different new ways of creating music these days. You don't have to create it the same way. Uh, and I think I just got to that point. You get tired of, you know, doing the same thing, the same process of creating. Maybe switching to a new digital audio workstation may give you a more refresher as far as music is concerned. Maybe switching up. Maybe you worked in FL Studio, you might want to switch to Reason. If you're in Reason, you might want to switch to Ableton. It's just so many different things to think about as far as your musical process is concerned. And so yeah, y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think about this topic. Feel free to comment. Feel free to comment. Again, appreciate y'all for being in here. Let me know who's in here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like I said, please subscribe to this channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like this conversation about the music process, and how sometimes you gotta switch it up. Sometimes you gotta switch it up and create different things. Create different things as far as music. But again, appreciate y'all for watching. And if I don't if I don't have any comments back, any feedback on what y'all think about it, again, appreciate y'all for subscribing. If you want to support this channel, you can send a super thanks after this this live if you want to send a super thanks. But again, appreciate y'all for being in here, always supporting this channel. And until next time, peace.